Hey everybody, welcome to episode 48 of the AskDAP show where we answer your Volkswagen Audi questions. On this episode, we talk about Mark 7 with a brake pedal vibration, Mark 5 with a no start condition where the park reverse lights flash, and Mark 7 with an AC smell.
Steve L. via email says, I just wanted to ask you a question, see if you had any advice. During my new Mark 7 GTI purchase, I bought something called the Term Care Select 4-year warranty, which is a Fidelity mechanical failure warranty that replaces damaged components due to wear and tear, items in the event of a mechanical failure. At $1,600 or 5% of the initial value of the car, is it worth it? I drive less than 5,000 miles a year and plan to keep it mostly stock. My fear was that an expensive component, turbo, engine, DSG, etc., would fail during the 3-year factory warranty period and claim that it was wear and tear and not a manufacturing defect.
Okay, Steve, so I'm not familiar exactly with the specific warranty you're referring to, but here's what I gather from what you're describing. Sounds to me like the warranty you have is a wear and tear item warranty that, this is the one part I'm not clear on. Is it to cover any wear and tear item during the life of the vehicle while it's still under factory warranty? Or does it also extend, like most extended warranties, post ownership of the vehicle or post expiration of the factory warranty? So if it extends past the factory warranty, I would say that's something that you might want to consider. It really depends on every person is different. But if it's only during the life of a factory warranty and basically covers only wear and tear items that wouldn't be considered replacement under factory warranty, I would say I would try to cancel that. My personal opinion on that is this. The items that would be considered wear and tear items under that warranty would be brakes or wiper blades or belts, but most of them aren't going to be wear and tear during that time. Or if you have a manual, maybe a clutch. And the likelihood of a clutch going bad in that amount of time is super slim, and unless you are the type of person who kills clutches maybe based on lack of experience in driving them, or abuse maybe, in which case they may not cover it anyway. So if it's only to cover wear and tear items and doesn't extend past the factory warranty, I would say it's not worth it. But if it does, I would say, it's a fine purchase. And this is the one thing you mentioned about being as a percentage of cost of ownership. And this is the way that I view any aftermarket warranty when it comes to that stuff, is this. Instead of looking at it as relative to the cost of the vehicle, let's say it's 5%, 10%, whatever, you have to look at it as a cost to repair. So, if you were to blow a clutch, for example, which is highly unlikely, but replacing a clutch would be significantly more expensive than what you paid for that warranty. By the time you talk about parts and labor and a flywheel and a clutch assembly and then removing the transmission and reinstalling it, you would have paid for that warranty had that repair happen. Now, that's probably the only repair that would get you even close, because there's no other wear and tear on anything on a car that would be expensive. Brakes would be one thing, but the only thing I've mentioned, this kind of goes into service plans in general, which is something I think I've mentioned before because we've had questions about that. I'm not a fan of service plans just because all you're doing is paying up front for all the maintenance of your vehicle, and it kind of locks you into certain situations. So for that reason, I don't recommend things like that. But, I would say if this is something that only covers wear and tear items, I would say it's not really something I would recommend. If it's just a regular extended warranty, it happens to cover those things as well, then it's a perfectly fine purchase. And, it may have been a slight bump, but you get that back in the potential coverage of any wear and tear items you might run across during the time of ownership.
Hey Paul, quick question your way. I might have a potential issue with my AC drain line. Lately the AC in my car smells like a wet athlete sock at startup. Used a few different air fresheners with no luck. Yesterday I took the car on a 150-mile road trip with the AC on the whole time. After parked at home for about 10 minutes with the car idling, I looked under the car to see if any water is dripping, but couldn't see anything. I think I might have a clogged or missing drain line which causes the AC to smell. Do you by any chance know where the drain line might be on a Mark 7 GTI? The car is about 23,000 miles on it.
Okay, Ishmael, so the question you have, your issue you're having about the car smelling on the interior, if that's the issue, first of all, at 23,000 miles, you should have already replaced the cabin filter. If you're not familiar with what that is, we did a DIY on a Mark 7. It's actually a really easy cabin filter to replace. I'll put a link to that DIY where we have more info here, and you can check that out. The other note I wanted to make about that, well, first of all, let's talk about this. Cabin filters. If your car had an activated charcoal cabin filter, which there are two different ones which we discussed in that video, but if your car has an activated charcoal cabin filter, basically there's activated charcoal in the actual filter itself, it catches a lot more odors. The problem with activated charcoal is while it catches more odors and keeps your car smelling better, the fact that it catches all those odors means that it will smell earlier and much worse if you don't replace it at an interval time. So 20K is when you're supposed to replace cabin filters. You know, if you want to replace it sooner, that's a good idea. The other note, I know a lot of earlier models had a lot of problems with smells like this, and we would have to run like this chemical agent inside through the recirculation system that basically you would put it on the floor, it would fog into the AC system through the recirculation because that would be in the passenger footwell, and it would get a lot of agents to kill like any bacteria and stuff like that that might be growing due to moisture getting trapped inside that box. That's an option. Keep in mind that's not going to make it smell better, but it will kill the bacteria long term. It will make it smell better. But this is the one component that a lot of people don't know about that. If you leave your recirculation flap open, it will often allow moisture into the box when the car is parked, and you will want to keep that not open during that time. So if you allow that moisture in to while the car is parked and sits overnight, a lot of moisture will get in there from just regular air, and then eventually it will kind of get stuck in there, which will allow obviously that smell to develop and get even worse. So one note, always keep the recirculation flap closed, but also replacing your cabin filter is probably going to be the best thing you do to solve that problem.
Travis Wilson via Facebook says, my 2015 DSG GTI has horrible wobble/shake when braking from around 30 and greater. Could this mean the rotors are warped? I have about 25,000 miles. Warranty?
Okay, Travis, so do you have warped rotors? So there's actually a really interesting article that I think StopTech put out. I'll try to find it and I'll put it in a link to it in the description below. But basically what it talks about is how oftentimes, for the most part, a lot of the pedal pulsation you feel in any braking system in a situation that seems like it's warped rotors are actually not warped rotors. It's pad material that got really hot and then was distributed unevenly around the face of the rotor, which is why it feels like it's warped, but it's not actually a warped rotor. So most likely that's what's going on, would be my assumption. Replacing your brakes would be. My car, the car you see in all of our DIY stuff, actually had that same issue. I also had a lot of pedal vibration under heavy braking, and I'm around 20,000 miles, and it's been happening for a little while. We actually recently just upgraded to StopTech slotted rotors and EBC red stuff pads, and we have DIYs on both of those. So I'll put a link to those where you can check out the brake kits here, and then I'll also put links to the videos in the description where you can check out. We have DIYs that talk about a little bit more about brakes and also go through replacing them. So it wouldn't be something covered under warranty. That's 12 years or 1 year, 12,000 mile warranty on wear items like brakes or anything like that. So that would not be covered, and you would have to take care of that on your own. You can try to have them turn rotors if you want to try to do that as a option to cut down the rotors and get some of that material down to where it's even again, and you'll probably take care of that issue if you don't want to change brakes altogether.
Tim Bland via email. I'm considering the purchase of a 2009 or 2010 Volkswagen CC. I want the higher horsepower of the 3.6 versus the 2.0 turbo. Being unfamiliar with the mechanics on these cars, I'm wondering if there's any common driveline issues to be aware of when purchasing said vehicle.
All right, Tim. So in regards to 2-liter turbo, 3 versus 3.6, 3.6s are a good engine. They're not crazy powerful, but they will have a lot more factory power than a 2-liter turbo. A 2-liter turbo would be something that if you were to upgrade it with, let's say, performance software from let's say, Unitronic, it would give you a bigger bump to get you. It would actually be quicker than a VR6, but there are some reliability concerns around the TSI engine, which, if you're not familiar with it, it's something to look into. I'll put a link to the software stuff we have for TSI's, the 2-liter turbo engine, where you can check that out here. And you can make a decision as to what you're looking at as far as power potential and stuff like that. In regards to common issues on 3.6s, they don't really have a ton of common problems. VR6s always have had a few little like coolant leak issues, but nothing was super rampant on that specific one. Long term, they'll have some timing chain stuff, but that's really long life the vehicle stuff. And 2-liter turbos, the TSI engine has stuff with that. That are more concerning on that engine than you would find with the 3.6. So overall, I would say the 3.6 is a solid, reliable car, but finding them is a little bit more challenging. So you'll have to kind of do some work to find a 3.6 car in general. But yeah, they're pretty solid engines.
Andre John via shopdap.com says, "Hi, I have a Jetta 5 2.0 FSI. The problem I'm having is every now and then the car doesn't want to start. I have an automatic DSG box, so the gear display on the dash blinks. When this happens, the car won't start, just swings. After a while, then would start. What would you say the problem is? Thanks."
All right, Andre. So the issue you're having, intermittent no start on that car, and when it happens, what they call the Prindle, the park reverse neutral drive low, used to be low, now it doesn't exist anymore, but those lights flash around the gear selector. So what's probably happening, I would say this is pretty likely, is you have an issue with the at the base of your shifter. There's something that is a strip that has electronics in it to determine what gear the car is, and that communicates to the rest of the vehicle what's going on. That's probably bad. So that would you'd have to replace the whole base of the shifter. So a lot of times it comes with the shift knob. There's a lot of variables in that. So you'll have to, if you contact us with your VIN, we can get you the right stuff for your car. But most likely that's your problem, and here's why. If the car doesn't know what gear you're in, specifically if it doesn't know if you're in park or neutral, it will not allow the car to start because it doesn't think it's safe to start, because you can't start your car and drive. So if there's malfunctions related to that piece that communicate that to the vehicle and it doesn't know what gear it's in, temporarily obviously, because it's not happening all the time, then I would say that's likely to be the cause, and replacing that probably should resolve your issue unless there's something else in the transmission that's causing that issue. But most likely it's that plate, and that should resolve your issue. Thank you for watching episode 48 of the AskDAP show. If you have any comments about the questions answered in this show, be sure to leave it in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more like it.